It was a rainy day. The sky a dreary, fluffy gray. It was a different kind of rain, southern rain, Alabama rain. Heavy, fat drops, sporadic and fickle, ready to douse you again as soon as you folded up your umbrella or let your hood fall back. It was a rainy May day in Montgomery, Alabama. Everyone was damp and steamy like wilted vegetables as we streamed out of the bus ready for the next museum. To date, we had visited 6 museums in 4 days. This would be our 7th, the legacy sites, comprised of 3 different and unique spaces: the Legacy Museum, the Freedom Monument Sculpture Park, and the National Memorial for Peace and Justice. If I'm honest, when I woke up this morning, I might have told you that I was a little museumed out. Don't get me wrong, they had all been fascinating and worthwhile and important, and historically, I am a museum lover. But I thought I had heard and seen and learned a lot already. I was deeply, completely, almost embarrassingly wrong. That day in Montgomery was to be a profound one, on top of an already profound experience on the BCC Civil Rights Tour. Each of the 3 legacy sites offered something different: a more traditional museum setting, a sculpture garden where art and creativity told stories that only art can, and finally, a memorial. After visiting the more traditional museum, spending almost all of our designated time there, I felt full, raw, aggrieved, as my whole body attempted to process the stories, faces, lives, tragedies. With just an hour or so left and the weight of the history on our shoulders, a small group of us decided to head to the memorial site. The National Memorial for Peace and Justice is a lovely name, official sounding, yet not immensely descriptive. From the Legacy Museum, we took a small shuttle bus 5 or 6 minutes up the road, up a hill, scenes of a heavily bricked Montgomery coming into view. We were let off the bus, the slow drizzle of rain still accompanying us. In front of us, a large, rectangular, mostly green space, punctuated by a looming concrete structure. In that moment, I remember vividly the first time I walked into a different memorial, the Children's Memorial at Yad Vashem, the Holocaust Museum in Jerusalem. It is an optical illusion of light and dark, where 5 candles are reflected thousands of times, filling the black and dark space with 1,000,000 flames, meant to represent all those children extinguished during the Holocaust. It wasn't an intellectual experience. It wasn't meant to be. It was about the hairs on the back of your neck standing up, tears that quickly formed in your eyes without realizing, the goosebumps on your arms, even though it wasn't cold. I felt so viscerally that God was in that space with me, waiting for me, beating in my own heart as I was overwhelmed with every emotion and the deepest sense of loss. And so too, again, as I made my way into the National Memorial for Peace and Justice, I felt my pulse jump and quicken, anticipatory grief, and the low, aching discomfort of guilt in my gut as I read these words carved into stone. For the hanged and beaten, for the shot, drowned, and burned, for the tortured, tormented, and terrorized, for those abandoned by the rule of law, we will remember. With hope, because hopelessness is the enemy of justice. With courage, because peace requires bravery. With persistence, because justice is a constant struggle. With faith, that we shall overcome. That day, God wept with us, that fat Alabama tears of the divine, streaming down each of the 805 imposing hanging steel columns representing each county where a documented lynching took place, recording the over 4,400 Black people killed between 1877 and 1950. Happened so often it got its own name while Billie Holiday sang about strange fruit on the radio. I was so small in the face of this horrific injustice, small at the enormity of the thousands tormented and lynched in the land of the free. I was so small, reflected in those millions of flames at Yad Vashem. As you exit each space, your eyes have to adjust, just like your heart, because it's too painful to examine what humans can do to one another. But you walk away slowly and realize that you survived because others did, and you remembered when others tried to forget. You are the hope for the future. There are these moments when we need to feel small, need to understand that we are not at the center of it all. It's what this holiest day demands of us, in fact. However, Yom Kippur is not our yearly opportunity for self-flagellation. We aren't meant to just live forever in our worst moments. We are meant to learn from them. However painful it might be on this day to revisit, to remember the times when we've hurt the people we love or care about, or made poor choices or acted in ways we regret. We are here, trying our best with intention to move beyond each guilt-inducing, cringeworthy, painful choice, not just because it's what our tradition demands of us, but because we want to grow. We want to change. We want to learn. And we know that just hoping that things will change, that we will just change magically, is a fool's errand. We have to put work into it. And it starts with acknowledging and taking responsibility for the sins we have committed. As I slowly walked away from the memorial for peace and justice, a few things became even more clear. Pretending, diminishing, erasing our history, these painful and horrific bits, the truth of our actions and decisions as individuals, as a community, as a whole society, is exactly how they will happen again. We are a people who venerate memory as a central tenet of our value system. Time and time again throughout our sacred text, in our weekly liturgy, in our stories, in our complex history, memory is not just a concept, but a character. Rabbi Jonathan Sacks taught, history is an answer to a question, what happened? Memory is an answer to the question, who am I? History is about facts, memory about identity. History is about something that happened to someone else, not me. Memory is my story, the past that made me who I am, of whose legacy I am the guardian for the sake of the generation yet to come. Without memory, there is no identity. Without identity, we are mere dust on the surface of infinity. When we see important moments of our history attempting to be erased from our national consciousness because it feels bad, because it doesn't fit the so-called reclaiming of a history that never was, we are erasing a hard-won identity vital to our future. And moreover, we're just plain lying to ourselves and to all the generations to come. Whether it is our own history or not, we are responsible for learning it and learning from it, because the ideals, the promise, the dream of freedom cannot just be the freedom and equality of some, the ones who can afford it, the ones who are born with the right skin color or sexuality or binary gender, born in the right country or state. We've tried that. It doesn't work. This country was built on the backs of slaves and immigrants, stolen from native people who already lived here. But we can be more. We can demand more, and we can build more. It is antithetical to our values, our responsibility as Jews to only revere the good moments, the proud moments, the right choices, remembering it all, allowing it to shape who we've become. This is our task. On this day dedicated to teshuvah, to repentance, we merely undergo the first step. We have continued work to do the rest of the year. Our great sage Maimonides, the Rambam, famously asked in his work Mishneh Torah, "What is complete repentance?" And he answers, "One who once more had it in their power to repeat a violation, but separates themselves therefrom, and did not do it because of repentance, not out of fear or lack of strength." It is not enough to come here today and utter our slichot, our sorries, to say aloud the sins we have committed, or even when we do the hard work of looking into the eye of a friend or loved one and asking for forgiveness. It's not enough. It's not all that's asked of us. When we have the opportunity to repeat it, which we know we'll have most likely at some point, that's when the rubber meets the road. That's when we summon our strength, remember the kind of people we'd strive to be, and do our best to make a different choice. And we make that choice because we've already made the choice to change. We diminish the strength of our teshuvah year by year when we choose the same mistake, the same sin over and over again. Teshuvah is only as strong as our will to change. Ultimately, though, teshuvah is more than repentance and more than the possibility of change. Teshuvah is the belief in hope. And hope is necessary. It's the hope and promise of teshuvah that sustains us, teaches us that if we keep going and keep trying and keep believing that the world we want to see, the country we want to see, the person we want to see in the mirror looking back at us are all possible. I don't want to build any more memorials because we keep making the same mistakes. A painful record built of cold marble or steel, imposing reminders of the worst of us. I want to build monuments of what we accomplish together. The monument for peace that we build across belief and nationality and difference. The monument for every trans person who got the medical care, compassion, and love they deserve. The monument when we've melted down the last automatic weapon. Monuments as far as the eye can see to remind us of what we can do when we learn from our history and our mistakes and our failures. I want to visit every monument to our human ingenuity and accomplishment, fields of them, streets lined with reminders of how we came together, how we learned from one another, how we listened to our better angels rather than gave in to the demons. Let this be the legacy sites we create. All three of those legacy sites in Montgomery, Alabama, were meticulously, thoughtfully, and beautifully created by the Equal Justice Initiative, an organization dedicated to ending mass incarceration and excessive punishment in the United States, an organization who challenges racial and economic injustice and protects basic human rights for the most vulnerable people in our society. And the Equal Justice Initiative was founded by lawyer Brian Stevenson. You may have read his book, Just Mercy, or even seen the movie. In Just Mercy, he writes, "We are all broken by something. We have all hurt someone and been hurt. We all share the condition of brokenness, even if our brokenness is not equivalent. We have a choice. We can embrace our humanness, which means embracing our broken natures and the compassion that remains our best hope for healing. Or we can deny our brokenness, forswear compassion, and as a result, deny our own humanity. There is no wholeness outside of our reciprocal humanity. Let us learn from where we have been, who we have been, and truly embrace our humanity and choose a legacy of hope. Gamar Tov.